Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Highly Advised Podcast. This is episode 12. This is a late night. We're going to try and do this for y'all and put on a good show. I'm here with my friends. I'm tired. I'm tired. You're tired. Lau is tired. Well, we're going to try and do it anyway. You tired? Yes.
You tired. Hey, everybody. This is me right now. You're listening to Spit. I'm with two of my co-hosts. If you don't know, now you know. This is a highly advised podcast.
We got Spence who just introduced himself. This is Nigel.
As himself.
Lau, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? This is El Chapo Don Pablo, Big Cozy, Too Cozy, the man with many nicknames. Big Don, Big Geese Howard. You know how I'm rocking. You know how.
Come on, bro. We only call you loud in the neighborhood.
all that serious cat.
Like, nah.
They're all like El Chapo, because I'm the local neighborhood superstar around this.
Till 6ix9ine come at your door.
6ix9ine, man.
What's going on with y'all this week?
Man, I'll tell you like this. 7 days in, I've never lived during a week that felt like 14 days, yo. This week would felt like 2 weeks in itself.
So much has happened.
Week. Facts.
A whole lot.
Yeah, man. And it just feels like it's just a hell of a lot happening at once, man. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but one thing I learned though is you always gotta keep it like you just gotta get through the shit, man, somehow. Even looking at like everything that's been going on this week, from the UFC to the Trump shit to like just the election, the whole social justice thing, like the Black Lives Matter thing, people stepping in, stepping out. Like it's been a crazy week, man. Been a wild, crazy week. Crazy week.
I was talking about it with my coworkers today. I just heard so many different opinions, like as to what's going on and what people think the answer is and who people think it is to blame. It's just like a lot of different viewpoints,
Yeah, it's wild though, man, because to some extent, like you looking at artists, for instance, right?
Okay.
Like you have artists right now that just kind of that come from the culture that just kind of started off with like, because of the looting situation, they automatically just jump on ship of, oh, like I'm totally against this and X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't know if you heard about like Trina, for instance, where she had came out calling like people animals and all of this shit because her friend's place got looted.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna say I agree or disagree with the looting, but I think from just a celebrity standpoint, you kind of saw like where people stood on things, man.
Yeah, but, man, from the entertainment.
You felt like Drew Brees this week?
Fuck no. For me, it's easy. Fuck Drew Brees and fuck the New Orleans Saints. It's easy for me. But somebody from down there, they're probably hurting because, Drew Brees that's their Tom Brady, that's their Peyton Manning, that's their guy. And just to hear their guy say that nut shit, I know they're hurt. They're kind of hurt as hell because, they want their team to win, but they probably don't want Drew Brees leading that team no more. You know what I mean? If you're a minority guy, if you give a fuck about what's going on. But
yeah,
fortunately,
Shannon Sharp said he needed to retire.
My thing is this, right? If he really feels that way, then why did he kneel down with his teammates before them?
It's photo ops, bro. Like look at what happened in Buffalo. Like the same officers that were kneeling the day before were the same ones that pushed that old man on the ground and cracked his skull open. Jeez,
man, that shit was crazy. Or if you want to talk photo ops, fucking Trump was sitting there with the Bible upside down. And he was just like, "Yeah, I got it. Look at me."
Hold on. That the Bible was actually upside down. Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was.
Even the whole thing was just horrendous. The whole thing was just horrendous at the end of the day. Like, and then like you're seeing people like take his side. Like even with the Trump thing though, like with Drew Brees came out, apologized and all of that. And you saw where Trump was like, "No, you shouldn't apologize. You're right." Like he doubled down, and then Drew Brees had to come back to him.
Of course, he's gonna be like, "You're right." Anything that boosts him, he's gonna be like, "They're right. They're right." I mean, you heard what he said about George Floyd. George Floyd would be very happy right now. This is a great day George Floyd would be proud. You heard him say that shit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So, like, come on, like, he, Drew, anybody praising him, he's gonna take that to the heart and be like, he's very right. He's very, very right.
My thing is though, like, I just don't see how like you can just have that viewpoint after everything that's going on. So it's like, in my eyes, it's like, okay, if you're not cool with the peaceful protest, then you must be cool with the looting then, because you're saying that kneeling isn't okay and you're not giving us an alternative. So what do you want people to do? And that's why people started going out in the streets anyway, because people are just they're trying to bring attention to this topic.
Yeah. I think right now everybody's just trying to everybody's in the street because at some point everybody gets fed up when it's all said and done. Like you can be whoever, have whatever title attached to your name, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, like what the issues that's going on outside on the front line and everything like that, it's so much that it's hard for anybody just to be like, yo, not to notice it. Like you have to deliberately like turn a blind eye to everything that's going on in order not to be like focused or even conscious of it, or to like having an opinion that is different than the one that you already choose, which is an opposing opinion. Like you have to be very somewhat narrow-minded, I think, just for some shit like that.
Just like Lil Wayne, he lives in his own bubble. I remember one time he went on Undisputed and said, I don't see color. When I look in the crowd, I don't see none of that. None of that exists to me. The only thing that exists to me is my fans. Racism, what is that? I've never experienced that. Does that exist?
That's crazy.
That's how he is.
But even then, though, I think some things for some people, everything is based off like your own personal life experience when it's said and done. I think for him in his situation, Wayne, I remember Wayne saying before, like, oh, the person that saved his life was a white police officer. He has some perspective that is like as much altered than us. And then going from probably that to shortly after becoming a rap artist with Cash Money.
Right.
You go hit the tour. One of the most ultimate races is green. The power of a dollar. Like that's the equalizer of all races. Let me not say that. I'll just say, like, when it comes to conversation, people don't care. A lot of times people don't care what your skin complexion is when the money's there at the end of the day. That's probably, in his situation, that probably refers more for him. He had money coming up to some extent, living a lifestyle of being a rapper at 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah, it's like what people say, like, like money will make an ugly person look good. And he's had money since he's been young. So he didn't really have the same experiences as somebody else. Yeah, like for real.
Facts.
Wayne he's just one of many artists that has an opinion on this whole thing, whether you disagree with it or not. But on a more positive note with artists, I know you guys seen that shit with 6ix9ine. And I'm not saying positive note.
I don't know. You brought up a rat as a positive note.
I'm curious. Go ahead.
I could have taken Russ. I could have taken Tyler, the Creator. I could have taken Kendrick. I would have taken Kendrick Lamar. I would have taken a dude that got knocked out by gaming though, like back in the day.
Shouts out to Kendrick Lamar for marching, but
yeah,
no. The reason.
Shout out to Russ also.
Yes, the reason why I said Mr. Nigel's favorite guy, because Nigel got the shirt on.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's because he made that "I'm Locked Up" song, and it's making its rounds on social media. So people are,
horrible,
are baiting. Either people are baiting for it, or people realize like this is just a joke.
To be honest with you, I think that's his goal, is to get people's attention. But I think he realizes that I think he realizes now that this is done.
The troll shit, to me, it's getting old.
Yep. Yeah, I think he knows that also, because like, even though like with this song that he previewed, I don't know if you guys paid attention or not prior to.
If you're talking about the snippet with him and Akon, I didn't listen to that shit. I don't plan on listening to his album either when it does come out.
Yep, same here. I won't listen to a lick.
Hell no. I'm not listening to his album either. I'm not listening to his album, but I'm also I'm not listening to his album, for one. Two, I have no interest in anything that he does unless it gets sent to me and I may look at it. Like, I've been paying attention to him because I don't know if I told y'all this, but I have his like what type of it's like his burner page. I have like his burner page on Instagram, right? There's no activity from there, but like one I've been paying attention to like him and everything like that. I think he realizes that this shit is almost to an end because he keeps pushing back this single that he has with what is rumored to be Nicki Minaj. More than like the only reason he keep pushing it back, like he's saying it's because of the situation, everything that's going on, but he was pushing the song back prior to everything happening. Long story short, I think he just realizes that this shit is almost done. It's cool and funny. Like he's trying to start a fight with Snoop Dogg, and he took a jab at somebody else recently. I don't know who, but it's kind of like it's the same Muppet Show at this point.
Well, not only that, but the climate isn't really helpful for what he does. Like he's known to be a troll and be like, oh, these people hate me so much. They hate me. And like the one thing that people are going for right now is like peace amongst each other. He tried to do that shit under YG's "Fuck the Police" song. I saw Academics post it, and people were like, "You're a clown."
What did he do? I didn't see anything about that.
So he was just like, people would do anything for hits, and then people were like, they weren't having that shit. They're like, "You're a clown." It's like, at least he's trying to be for what's going on. You don't talk about shit except for trolling. Like it was like multiple pages of people saying like, "Hey, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, man, his reign of terror is coming to a close, and I actually feel bad that honestly, like we fucked up already. We're talking about the nigga. We should just stop talking about him for real.
Yeah, I'm done.
The reign of terror is coming to a close, and I'm not even going to cheer for it because we really shouldn't give a fuck, and we should really talk about other artists that really mean a lot more to.
Speaking of other artists, right, and getting artists like that out of here. I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but like because of like you said, like with like the Bull, right?
Yeah.
With his music, right? It doesn't really contribute anything to like everything that's going on. So I don't know if y'all been paying attention to it, but I wanted y'all opinion on it about like the music today, like making more of a push for more conscious music right now compared to what's really on the landscape. Like a lot of people, from what I'm seeing from different people, they're really calling for like all like the bubblegum SoundCloud rappers to just call it a dub for their career and bring like the quote unquote real music back, like the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Cole's type of music, YBNs and all of that shit.
Well, my opinion on it, every rap generation, right? As much as people love to ignore it, every rap generation had bad fucking rappers. So I don't think these bubblegum, dumb and ass rap type rappers, they're gonna stop. I think these rappers, they're gonna keep coming on board. Now, I think the real rappers, the trend is shifting into their favor, but I don't think the SoundCloud rappers is gonna phase out. You're always gonna have that. It's just always gonna be there through the test of time. I remember a post a few weeks ago where some woman was trying to clown Magoo. And at the time, I guess you could say Magoo was a bad rapper or whatever like that, right?
Yeah, he's considered like one of the worst rappers of all time or some shit like that.
Right, but in his generation, he might have been one of the worst rappers. Not saying that he's a bad rapper or whatever, but like compared to now, Magoo's probably lyrically better than like Lil Yachty, and that's not a knock to Lil Yachty or whatever, but it just is what it is.
See, at the same time, that's all relative because you trust me, like it's just like talking to old heads, man. Like you'll talk to an old head and they'll try to tell you that Curtis Blow is like the king, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's like, fam, say nah, Curtis Blow, he better than Kendrick. How?
Yeah.
My man's rapped, take me out to basketball and then we saw the game. It's like, come on, fam. That's not lyrical. Like Kendrick going to give you a real story.
Yeah, he's like, these are the breaks. Break it up.
Bring it up.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The way I see about it is that I see like a lot of the Alchemist type production like kind of coming back. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of cool to see that being a little like more popular, at least that it was in like a few years ago. Even though we've been listening to it all along, it seems like people are actually paying attention. Like, oh man, Alchemist is working with this artist now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's kind of cool to see that get a little bit of buzz, even though I don't think that it it still is getting the buzz that it deserves. it seems to be shifting a little bit, like Lyle was saying. So if I saw a full shift of that, I'd be all for it because some dope shit's gonna come out of that.
I agree with that. I think at the biggest stage, I think that's possible. Like from just seeing Benny the Butcher, for instance. Like
Yep.
he was like, I think him and Griselda, I think all of them are like kind of carrying that torch. Prior to all of this, Benny was supposed to go on tour with Russ. I think we had said something about that before.
Yep.
But Russ's fan base is polar opposite of what Benny the Butcher's is. So to bring an artist like that out there kind of help bringing that type of music to the forefront. Plus, Alchemist, low key, Alchemist has really been that guy for the past decade.
He's been the guy.
Mobb Deep produced like some stuff for Mikey Rocks. He did the Action Bronson tape.
Yeah, I was supposed to say Action Bronson.
Then
Like,
you got.
He's just been working like all along, like the Prodigy projects he put out, you know, Return of the Mac and Albert Einstein, like killing that.
He did Albert Einstein?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize he did the whole project. I know he did songs on it. I didn't know it was the whole project though.
Yeah, killed the shit, man.
That was actually one of my favorite Prodigy albums, honestly.
It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But with that being said, speaking of Alchemist, right? Me and Nigel were chopping it up yesterday about Alfredo and Pray for Paris. And I said in a text message with us, I think it's a tie. But I was telling Nigel, I'm like, man, I'm kind of leaning towards Alfredo a bit. I think two fucking good ass albums, man. But Nigel said a point yesterday. Alfredo has this fucking four song stretch that is unskippable shit. And with Pray for Paris, I think that's what is kind of like lacking of that. Like it has good songs and you can listen to the album throughout, but it's not like a 4-song stretch.
But
like,
I think Alfredo is the type of album that you can honestly play from beginning to end and not have an issue. It just so happens that 4-song stretch is really good. I think it's like it has baby shit in there, something to rap about, and both the Benny and Conway features, which are both good songs. And it's
that's
just
the whole album, bro.
Yeah, but like there's other songs on there. You still haven't put Scotty Beam in there. You know what I mean? Like, so the album's great, man. It's really good.
I would say, like, to me, it's too early for me. I feel like it's too early for me to say this, but it may be the trailblazer for the album of the year for me. For me, I would have to say it's either this or The Price of Tea of China.
Well, just album of the year so far. Like, what do you?
I might have to go with Price of Tea of China, man. That's still one of my favorites. Like, it's a hard one between that or Alfredo. I may have to go with I may just go with Alfredo just because the production's a little better. But Alchemist produced both of them.
Yep.
And Lulu, he's in a strong lead for if you look at producer of the year or whatever, like if you like consider that, he's got it.
It's got to be him.
Yeah.
So far, because we're only 6 months in.
Well, but here's the thing, though.
Who's stopping that?
I'm just saying.
But here's the thing, though.
Jay Versace or something?
Hey.
Wow, he only produced like one song, but
nah, he was supposed to be on. He was supposed to do something with Freddie Gibbs, but they got into it on live. I think they was joking around. Freddie Gibbs is like, yo. Freddie Gibbs was like, yo, you make good beats, but you just a weird ass nigga, man.
But
he was just, what? All right, fuck you. I ain't making nothing for you, and just clicked.
Wow.
But like speaking of the producer, Alchemist is great. I think all of us can agree that Alchemist is a living legend, right? But what about other producers too, like Turbo, Wheezy, Times5, if that's how he even calls himself, Pierre Bourne, who's been killing it on that side of the rap game. So, like, we have to include those guys too as far as producers of the year.
This year they're not touching Alchemist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but see, that's the thing. Though they're making the sound that's like over everything, over like the larger landscape.
Right.
It's, to me, is all music that kind of sounds similar, whether it be the artist or just some of the beats kind of favoring each other to some extent. Like Alchemist is a one of a kind. Don't get me wrong. Sunny Digital, Southside, 5X, all Little Mexico, they all have their own style, but I think they all they all are within like the same. They're all like in the same lane. Like
I
Alchemist is different.
No, I agree with you guys. Alchemist is better. I agree that Alchemist is one of a kind. Yada yada, all that shit. But but I like Pierre. I think Pierre is a damn good producer, and I think Turbo and all them other niggas. I don't think they're bad producers neither. So that was just me just saying, like, asking your guys what are your thoughts on that as well. But I definitely agree. Alchemist is definitely de facto number one. But I'm afraid he might not get the credit he deserves because he works for low key artists and he doesn't work with the big name artists. I think the biggest name artist that Alchemist has worked with, like in the past year, might have been like Rick Ross or something like that. And Rick Ross,
Jay-Z
really?
on the J
What are you doing?
Electronica project.
Oh, yep, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
You're
You
right.
know, the thing is, for me personally, Alchemist is the dude right now. We just talked about like our top 5 albums of the year, or like at least what we consider to be album of the year. And Alchemist has produced those albums, and he's produced songs off of other albums that are in contention for album of the year so far as well.
It makes it hard to even put someone else in the debate. Like he may have the top 3, top 4 for the year so far. If we use top 3, Gibbs, was it Alfredo, Price of Tia China, and Lulu?
Yep.
No, I want to say Lulu's top 5 for me because I remember we were talking about it and we liked some songs, but we weren't like not everything on there was hitting.
Top 10 probably.
Not top 5. Just to run it down real quick, I said Pray for Paris, Alfredo, Price of Tea China. I said Thundercats album and A Written Testimony. Those were just my 5 for the first half of 2020. Now the ranking of them, it could be a little debatable. Right now I'm leaning towards Alfredo's number 1, but you guys know how I feel about Pray for Paris. That album was a work of art.
Well, here's the thing for me, right? If you take your top 10 songs of the year, right, so far, you could probably put Alchemist in like 3 of those spots.
Yeah.
And I think that says something.
You're right. You're absolutely right. With a lot of people who say Wanna is the number 1 album, that's bullshit.
I gotta listen to it.
Wanna? Are you serious?
Yeah. It's right now on the Apple Music charts. Wanna's been on there for like 2 weeks straight, and it's doing over.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't think he got NAF numbers, but he definitely got over 100,000 in his first week. Now,
Jeez.
but
he's like the hottest thing out of Atlanta. Him and Lil Baby.
I listened to the album more than once, and the production is good, but Gunna isn't that type of rapper for me to be like album of the year. There's no way.
I've even heard old heads say it. That motherfucker be spitting. You don't know what he's saying, but
if you have a chance, just listen to one and tell me what you think. Same thing with you, Nigel. Like, it's not a bad album, so I'm not shitting on it. But compared to Alfredo and The Price of Tea and Pray for Paris, like, come on.
I feel you. I mean, I ain't even gonna hold you though. I actually need to sit back and like really run through like everything that I've been listening to this year, because Quiet as Kept, like the one album, it probably won't even make my top 10. Like, because you got to remind yourself, Drake has dropped a mixtape, Larry June's dropped a project, like 2 projects this year. Uzi came out with a project. The Weeknd came out with a project. I didn't like it. Childish Gambino came out with something. It was cool. Party came out with something that was. This has really been a bad year for music on the low.
It shouldn't be though, man. Like all these people that are like kind of in that little like circulation, or I'm sorry, those people who are in that rotation, ecosystem, they should be releasing right now. But I think the pandemic hit and it just shut shit down.
Yeah, I think that played a huge factor. That played a huge factor for everybody, but they just somehow you had artists still coming out though. I mean, when you think about it, you had Future come out during the pandemic, Drake come out during the pandemic, Lil Uzi Vert come out during this. Well, Uzi came out like the week before the quarantine started. Then you had, I think, Westside Gun dropped, Future dropped. I'm trying to think of who else was like worthwhile. I would say that's probably like really it. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard it, but Meek dropped a new song also.
Yeah, the Other Side of Town or something like that. Other Side of America.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
Yeah, I think he may drop the album of the year.
It's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised because The Other Side of America is the song is hard, and he starts it off with Donald Trump, which is like crazy in itself. And I had to turn the music down every time the song started over. No, because I was pulling up to the gas station. I was just like, I don't want someone thinking like, because they're hearing Donald Trump blasting through my car, that they think like, oh, you one of his supporters or constituents or some shit like that. Like,
You pull out the MAGA hat, start
yeah,
rocking it.
like wow, yo, wow. So this is what y'all gonna do to me? They probably would have jumped me, honestly.
Maybe, possibly right now.
Probably so, just because of what it symbolizes. Like even like when you look at the UFC, like I don't know if you guys watched the fights last night, all the fights last night, but you had some fighters even kneeling as a way of showing like their protest or their affiliation with the movement itself.
Who was kneeling?
Was it? I don't think it was Magny.
The fights last night was pretty good, though. Let me say that much. Definitely some. I don't have anything bad to say except about the main event. Actually, the main event was kind of. It wasn't that it was terrible.
It was one-sided.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was just like some typical boxing shit. That's what it reminded me. When you have a dominant champion and they don't really have a contender, so they kind of sugarcoat a contender, and that person is just really not on the level as the dominant champion. That's what you seen last night. I felt like Amanda Nunes could have finished the fight any moment she wanted to, but she even said it herself in the post-fight press conference. She wanted to go the 5 rounds just to be like, yeah, I could just go to 5 rounds. She could have put Felicia Spencer away when she wanted to.
She was in there smiling the whole fight.
Yo, you peeped that, right?
Yeah, she was in there cheesing at her, just kind of like, hey, I can fuck you up whenever I want. Like, this is fun, right?
Bink, bink.
Yeah, just hitting
Bink,
there.
bink.
Almost put her away. She's like, ooh, like getting excited. Like, it's weird.
Yo, it was weird. Like, if you peeped, like when Felicia Spencer was fighting her back, then you would see Amanda Nunes smile, and then she would do like the one thing where you know how it is when people about to fight, they pull their pants up. Yeah. She would pull her shorts up some and just smile. Like, I'm like, oh man, this is about to be a long, dangerous night. They should have thrown. I think they should have thrown the talent in the fourth quarter.
I don't think that.
Fourth round. She was just getting beat.
And poor girl, she has a lot of heart, and she was just getting lumped the fuck up, and her corner was just like, no, you could keep going in there. Good job,
But she had heart though. She even when you looked at Felicia Spencer, you could tell she had the amount of heart that was not stopping her. Like she even told the medic when they went to look at the hematoma, like, oh, nah, I'm still good. I can still fight. Like, one thing I can say is from looking at her fight, I learned a lot from just looking at Felicia Spencer. I've never really watched her fight before. She's getting hit with punches that was taking out Cyborg, remind you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they said going into the 5th round, she had taken 76 headshots.
Until she had the hematoma, I wasn't really thinking that they should stop the fight, just because like she was still sticking in there, and like, yeah, she got hurt a little bit, but she was there. I don't want to say she was in the fight, because she was never really in the fight, but she wasn't really getting hurt until that. I think it looked like the hematoma popped at some point because just all the blood that was on her face, but I'm not sure if she must have got cut or something.
I think she had gotten cut.
Yeah, but other than that, I didn't think that there was any reason to really stop it, because like, unlike Anthony Smith, when he was getting beat into the fucking canvas, like it wasn't like she was really in much danger of being like finished. She was just getting beat up.
Yeah, and she was just getting beat up, and I think she realized that eventually when she went for like a takedown, and she kept getting her takedown stuffed. But then you just saw how easily, like it looked like a sparring match, the way Amanda Nunes was just able to get the takedown and just slam her to the mat. Yeah. And then just stand over top of her. Like, yo.
She was like, come on. It looked like a bull and a matador, and like she was just like, jeez. Except the matador was like fucking the bull up too. Like not only just dodging it, but also just like beating the shit out of it.
Facts. And it's just like playing with your prey.
Yeah. That moment. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, like the shit was crazy. Like, and there were a couple other good fights that night, but
I saw Well, I saw the two fights I wanted to talk about were Sean O'Malley and fucking Cody Garbrandt. Like, oh
Yeah,
man, I just saw like the Sean O'Malley knockout to me was fucking incredible. Like,
walk off.
yeah, just hit him once and walk the fuck off, and he was out cold.
Fam, I was on a call for something, and I'm watching the fight, and I thought I was tripping because like I'm just watching, and then out of nowhere he just punches and just flattens him out. I'm
Yeah,
like, bruh. I'm like, hold on. I literally was watching it, and I had to watch it and replay just to make sure my eyes saw what it saw.
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, man. Eddie Wineland, he did one of those. He didn't know where he was at, and he was staring up at the lights, and he didn't realize he was still in the fight. Sugar Sean O'Malley, man, he needs a top 10 guy next. I'm not saying throw him to the wolves at the top 5, but give him like a number 10, number 9 ranked opponent guy. Yeah, I think it's time.
Sean O'Malley's not ranked?
Nah,
No.
Really?
he will be after this.
Yeah, he'll be like number 15, 14 probably.
I think they're gonna try and put him for some strange reason. I think they might try and put him against Cody Garbrandt, but I think it's too soon because I saw him saying something about their knockouts and comparing the two, and I think he might try and go for that fight because I'm pretty sure he thinks he can beat Cody.
Imagine if he did beat Cody.
Then he needs he's close, very close to being in title contention.
If he beats Cody, he'll be the next guy, but he won't be the next guy. He has to take a backseat to the guy I'm about to mention, Aljamain Sterling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aljamain Sterling, not only he deserves the next title shot, but I think everybody can agree that Jose Aldo has no fucking business fighting Piotr Jan.
I really hope that they decide to put Aljamain Sterling against Peter Yan because Jose Aldo doesn't deserve to be in there. And I think really that's just a money move. Aljamain Sterling has beat people. I think he has more of a chance of winning. I think that'll be the better fight. I think for multiple reasons you can put on that fight and it'll be the better decision.
Well, Dana's already came out and said like, yo, it's going to be Aldo next. So unfortunately, like I think to some extent, I think they're letting Aldo because for one, he kind of is somewhat of like a gatekeeper at that area in that top 3 area. So more than likely they probably figure out, okay, well, you did us a favor when Conor came and knocked you out. So we just kind of look out for you pretty much. Because he won the belt after he lost it to Conor, I believe, right?
You talking about who are you talking about?
Aldo, I think he win the belt or I know he fought Frankie at some point, but I'm not sure if that was for the belt or not.
So Jose Aldo came into the UFC as the featherweight champion, and he had defended the belt like a number of times at that point in time. And he was the champion, but Conor came in and was just kind of killing it at 145. So he eventually fought Jose Aldo, beat him. And then I think Jose Aldo took like a few fights at 145, but he wasn't getting the title shot. So he moved down to 135. I'm pretty sure he beat Frankie at 135. They say that he beat Marlon Moraes, and now he's going to get a title shot.
Well, the reason why he fought at bantamweight is because remember Alexander Volkanovski beat him in that title.
Oh yeah, he did.
So that's why Jose Aldo went down in weight, because if he lost to Alexander Volkanovski, it was just kind of like, all right, maybe your time is actually done. But he threw a curveball and he went down a bantamweight.
Smart move to keep his career going. Definitely when you know most fighters, they end up going up a weight class when it's not working for them versus going down, which can be a little bit more strenuous because of the cutting of weight. I mean, hey, shout outs to him. I mean, I'll definitely be watching that fight when it happens. I know I'm actually curious to see who's fighting Amanda Nunes next, actually. Though I think she's going to be taking a break because I think she's having a kid within the next couple of months. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think fighting itself is going to be interesting to see because I don't know if you guys heard, but Conor came out again and said that he's retired. He's retired and he doesn't have any love for the game or nothing like that. But I think he's just itching for a fight. That's really it.
Well, he is on the wagon of Jorge Masvidal, John Jones, and Henry Cejudo, who also have quote unquote retired.
Well, there's something going on behind the doors of the UFC, and I think for Connor it's a little different than it is for the other guys you mentioned. I think for Connor it's because he's not getting the fight that he wants, which is Justin Gaethje and Habib. But for the other guys, it's for money reasons. Because Connor's going to get the money. Dana, he's going to back up the Brinks truck for Connor. Man, we already know that. But it seems like Dana's not budging on giving Connor that Gaethje fight at all. And I think that's what Connor really wants right now. Or fast track him to Habib, which he doesn't deserve a fight with Habib without beating someone like Gaethje first.
See, I think Conor McGregor is honestly just a little spoiled, and that's why I think he's just like, look, I want the fight I want. Give me the fight that I want. And I think for the most part they do that for Conor. But the thing about this fight is that the top two people happen to not want to fight him and want to fight each other. And they also have the same manager. So it's kind of a stalemate. What can Dana White do about that? He can't make them not fight each other.
Well, here's the bullshit about on Justin Gaethje's side, because Habib, I'll give credit to Habib 100% for this. He said, "Hey, I'm not going to fight Conor again unless he gets on a win streak." Da da da. So Habib always stuck to his guns about that. But Justin, he was sitting there begging on his knees, scraping his knee pads up. Conor, I'm on my knees. Look at me. And then as soon as he got the Ferguson fight, oh well, Conor's losing his clout, which is a bunch of cap. And then he also came out and said right after that, oh, I'll be the first to give Conor a title shot. Like,
But do you
Yeah.
blame him though?
I
Because
mean, go ahead. You about to say what I'm about to say. Go ahead.
but
yeah,
that
do you blame him though? Because like I don't think he'll like. Let's be real. Justin Gaethje, if you were to fight Conor and lose to Conor, he's not going to get a title shot anytime soon.
Facts.
right, yeah, exactly. No, I'm not saying what Justin's doing is wrong as far as him going for the title fight, especially since he doesn't care about money. I'm assuming, but for him to talk the way that he's talking, it's just weird to me. It's a little bizarre. It's just not
But
like
that happens all the time though. Like when you go from the guy that's on his way up and trying to get the fight to okay, now I'm the guy in the hot seat. Like, oh, you have to wait for me. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Like I think that happens more often than not, I think, at that moment.
I think a fight with Conor is bigger than a fight for the belt, and
But the belt is worth more though.
it's not because you don't get paid as much for fighting the belt versus you fighting Conor. So
But if you think about it though, if he was to if fighting for the belt means, and he believes that he can win. So let's say he wins the belt, right, against Khabib.
right,
Then if he goes to fight Conor, he's getting pay-per-view buys on top of that. So he's going to make more money. He'll make more money fighting Conor with the belt than without the belt at the end of the day.
no, you're right because if he becomes champion, yeah, you're right off of that aspect. But either way, is going to be the bigger fight for him versus Habib. So him going to fight Habib first is good for him, I guess, from a game plan, from the long term aspect. You're right, but if we're talking about just right now, Connor's just the bigger fight. Unless if we're just talking about money, if we're talking about legacy, then yeah, always go for the title, right? That's what you want to do. You want to go for the championship.
I think that Justin Gaethje, like, I think he wants to get paid, but I think he cares about the title shot. I think he wants to be a champion. Just like
Yeah.
Jose Aldo, he wants to be a champion as well. And I think that's why they're giving him this fight over Aljamain Sterling. I think overall, if they want to do future negotiations with Jose Aldo, then they're going to give him this title shot. So in the future, it will be easier to negotiate. I don't think money is as big of a factor as it is for him.
They're giving the title shot to Jose Aldo because it's about money. Think about it. Yeah, Aljamain Sterling and motherfucking Piotr Jan, that's, let's be real, that's fight night because nobody's going to be paying pay-per-view for that. Yeah, the hardcore, the diehard fans, they will because they buy everything. But the casual, occasional fan, they're not going to be buying the pay-per-view to see Aljamain Sterling and Piotr Jan main event.
I think you're right. For the customer, it is for that. I think for the fighters, however, I think it'll be easier to negotiate with Jose Aldo if they give him a title shot now. You understand what I'm saying?
What do you mean, like Jose?
So,
Go ahead.
so I think that Jose Aldo, because I remember before he said that I'm not going to fight unless it's for a title. Like he kept on saying he wanted to fight Conor McGregor. He's like, I want to fight for the title. I want to fight for the title. I don't think it even had to be Conor McGregor. I think he just wanted to fight for the title because he cares about being a champion. I think if they were to not give him this fight and say, hey, you need to go and fight one more person, who knows how many fights he has on his contract. But let's say it's like maybe he might have 2 because they're going to negotiate probably soon to the close of his contract then. Well, he's probably going to want a contract or a title fight in there at some point in time. Or he'll probably want one like just right then and there, you know? So I think if they give him the title shot now, then when they actually go to negotiate, let's say if he wins, then I mean, shit, champions don't get paid as much as Conor. So, okay, he can get paid championship money. Fine and fair. But also if he loses, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Not only do we not have to worry about a title shot with you, we don't have to pay you more either. So it's like we can just pay you whatever money we owe you or whatever money we decide to try and give to you because they're not going to cut him. But I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, it's just a win-win if they give him the title shot now compared to later.
I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. But from like a fighter ranking standpoint, it makes no fucking sense.
Not at all.
That's how the UFC does sometimes, right? So I think with that being said, I think Conor should go to boxing. I think Jorge Masvidal and John Jones both need to fight out their contracts and then leave if they're really unhappy with negotiations after that.
But they're not leaving. But at the end of the day, they're not leaving though. Where do you go after this? Like, I mean, like for John, like someone like John, if he was to leave the UFC, I think it's more of a risk to his legacy, if anything. If let's say John was to leave the UFC, go fight, let's say he has like 3 fights left on his contract. Or no, doesn't he have like 6 or some shit like that?
7.
A decent bit.
Yeah, like so let's say he fights. Well, that's a long ass time though.
Yeah.
7 fights. And you only have to fight 3 fights a year. Dana's trying to give you 3 fights a year. And as a champion, you're probably only going to fight twice a year, depending on how things go. And John isn't into like last minute fights. He's more than likely that's a 3 to 4 year contract for John at this point. Even if he was to fight out that contract, which I think he should probably wait until all this stuff is going on, and then go back and say, all right, now that the pandemic is like subsided, I would actually want to try to renegotiate with them. But if he chooses to, I don't think it's best for him to go fight in another arena essentially. Like with any other promoter, it wouldn't make sense for him because if he loses, it does no benefit. Like he may end up fading out like a Rory McDonald or like a Ben Henderson or like even like a DJ. Plus on top of it, I see it like this with John. Like someone would like John in particular. He could just, if he wanted to, he probably could just vacate the belt and retire, and he'd be good. Because I was listening to DC talk about this. John went 2 years without the belt, and he was perfectly fine. Like he learned how to identify himself after a 10-year run, damn near, of being the champion of the world and saying, okay, I don't have this belt anymore, and I just got to figure out who I am as a person. He could be like the new Dave Chappelle of fighting, honestly. Like the fighter that just realizes like, yo, I don't really need this. This doesn't make me who I am. So
I think John Jones at this point needs good opponents. If he leaves the UFC, he's not going to have good opponents. Like heavyweight doesn't have good opponents. Light heavyweight doesn't have good opponents outside of the UFC. The only people who could fight are possibly like, in a boxing fight that would actually give him like the money that he's looking for. Because outside of that, if he were to just retire or just vacate his title, the only person he's hurting is himself. He's not going to get any more, like he will get more money somewhere else, but it won't be for like, it's not a long lasting thing. Like if anything, like, cause in a boxing match, I think any light heavyweight he takes, I'm not sure if he'll beat him in a strict boxing match. That just hurt. Yeah. I think that just hurts his legacy. So at the end of the day, like who is he really helping?
But then again, he's already said he doesn't care about legacy at this point. He has nothing to prove. So let's say he does two boxing matches, $15 million a piece. He walks out with $30 million after taxes. Let's say it's $15 million or whatever he walks away with and just rides off into the sunset.
Yeah.
If he doesn't care about legacy, he'll do that.
Well, I mean, his legacy is already intact. Like
Yeah.
there's never going to be another person. I remember I was talking to you about last night about Amanda's record. Amanda has 8 championship title fight wins. She's tied with Jose Aldo, but who she's under is Anderson Silva, John Jones. It was hard as hell to get past Anderson Silva. John has 14. He doesn't really need 14 title defenses, the most in UFC history. It's going to be a long time before something like that happens. And granted, Amanda could do something like that, but they're going to have to keep feeding her people with 5-1 records and 7-0 records. And by then, that kind of dilutes the thing because people are going to look at it and be like, "Well, she ain't fighting nobody like that."
Exactly what I was
So,
about to say.
but John's legacy is intact, and I feel like if he does decide to go ahead and hang up the gloves today, nobody's going to question his shit. But now when it comes to money, that's like another conversation about like, okay, what can he do to make the amount of money or even more that he was making when he was fighting in UFC?
It's crazy, man. Nobody's had a run of opponents like John Jones has. Like, I think he might
Nobody.
have the hardest like row as to like, hey, you got to beat this dude. And not only has he beat everybody and made it look relatively easy on the way, like he's never lost. Like he's only had but a few fights where he had issues. And other than that, his career has just been like amazing.
Exactly. Like he's had some questionable rounds. That's it. Like granted there's like maybe 1 or 2 fights where you question if he should have won or if he should have lost. But at the end of the day, his hand was raised. So someone like him, with a track record like his, it's just crazy to like at the end of the day, he's the baddest person in the world. At the end of the day, I know it's typically going for heavyweight, but until I see someone beat him, you can't beat him at the end of the day. Like I think for him, he would have to go up to heavyweight to see like some type of competition just because of the weight difference.
Yeah.
But
In other news, the NBA is talking about coming back. So apparently they're going to have a 22 team playoff round or something along those lines. Does anybody know exactly what's going on with that?
Well, I seen that it was 20 teams to 22 teams, and they're planning to do like 8 regular season games for each team, and then whoever has the best record combined to the record they had with the season before the pandemic happened was going to be in the playoffs. Now, the final verdict is still up in the air on how it's really going to go down because there was talk saying like, "Hey, let's read see the teams," and so you would see certain teams at the bottom that actually had that uh, top 8 seed, but they're going to fall out due to reseeding and yada yada yada, and everything is going to be down at in Orlando, where all the games are going to be played at. I think it's good. I'm surprised the NBA didn't do this a lot sooner because
I
you
think
could
they were scared.
run the games with no fans in the crowd in a closed environment. It happens all the time with me, Nigel, Spence, and let's say David and Jacob on one fucking team against 5 other people, and we could run a 5-on-5 game, full court. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if we could do that and we're not making NBA money, I guarantee you NBA players and the NBA organization could do that easily.
I mean, not as easily because you got to realize I'm losing a lot of money doing this. Dana White was talking about this last night in the post conference, and just the fact that he was saying like the 2 of the biggest things that every sport is missing out on is parking and the gate. I never thought about it, but parking probably like the number 2 thing that brings in that generates money for during any sporting event, along with the gate itself. So they're probably losing millions of dollars because I have heard that what the NBA is negotiating with the players to see if they're willing to take a pay cut in order to make this whole thing happen. And
Man, that's going to be hard for some players to say yes to.
yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be extremely hard, but some players are going to be willing to. I don't know how it's going to work out because if you're not going to have anybody there, at some point you may be better off. How deep we are with everything right now, and they may be better off just calling it a dub and just saying, "Yo, we just gonna start this shit back up again in November." To be
Yeah.
honest with you, because I ain't gonna hold you, bro. if they do this, I'll tell you like this: we're gonna see something that we've never seen before out of these players because for them it's gonna be a pickup game.
I think they should just start the playoffs. Damn the 8 season games that they were even suggesting. Just start the playoffs. Whoever had the best record before the pandemic, be like, all right, guys, we're gonna do playoff system. Cut out the best of 7. Cut that shit out, and you could do like best of 3, maybe best of 5 for the finals, and then right there, and because everybody knows this year is it's just an oddball fucking year. So everybody should understand you're not going to have a regular NBA playoff system.
I mean, to be honest, I was just going. Well, all I was going to say was what's going to happen is, sadly enough, whoever was to win the championship, it would just be that forgotten year of the league.
Right.
To be honest with you, it's kind of similar when you think about the '90s, right? With the Bulls having the 2 3-peats. We always forget that Jordan always took a year off in between both of those, and that's the year I think the Falcons. I think not the Falcons, the Hawks won I think that year, I believe, or Houston won that year. I think it was either the Hawks or Houston won that year. But that's like a year of basketball that nobody ever talks about because Jordan wasn't in the league. It's greatly different than this, but in like 10 years, nobody's going to say, "Oh, well, LeBron won a championship with the Lakers." Well, if LeBron wins a championship with the Lakers, they're going to stretch it. But if it's like Golden State or KD said he's not coming back, but someone like that, one of those type of teams, or like the Golden State or somebody like that, or Houston, any of them come out and win, someone's going to be like, okay, cool, I'll give you a pat on the back, but you didn't. It's not like the real thing at the end of the day.
So I just looked it up, and the Rockets, the years that Jordan didn't make the finals, the first year where he was playing baseball, and the second year where he Orlando beat him, the Rockets won back-to-back finals.
So my question about this,
forget that.
My question about this whole 22 team thing is that, like, if we were to go just with the people who were going to make it to the playoffs anyway, like, who was all going to make it? Because, like, from what I heard, apparently a lot of this has to do with like politics and things behind the scenes, as the people who they actually wanted to see in there, like, your Zions and your LeBrons and things like that.
Right. I think if the Pelicans make it, is definitely some politics, because the Pelicans, they're not even top 10 in the Western Conference right now. I think they're sitting at 11. And granted, Zion brings more dollars in to some of the players that's seated above him, not named LeBron, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, et cetera, et cetera. But the Pelicans, they weren't top 8. Now, when Zion did come back, though, the Pelicans, their winning percentage went up like 90%. They've been winning a lot. It just goes to show that Zion is really a big deal for that team. But they just weren't top 8. And it's not, I don't want to blame that on the Pelicans. It's just because the season just ended way early,
Yeah. It's like, like Spence said, it's one of those years, or both y'all said it. It's just one of those years where, everything's kind of crazy. So, like, does it really matter at the end of the day? Like, I know it does to a certain degree. Like, hey, we did it, regardless of anything else. But the year is fucked. Like, how are you supposed to really compare it to a normal year? Because it's nowhere near that.
Exactly. And I think that'd be the general consensus moving. Once we move past all of this, that'd be the general consensus. Like, yo, this was just a year that a lot of shit just happened, pretty much.
Yeah.
Long story short. So, like, the shit is just gonna be like one of those type of things. Like, I don't know. Like, we just live into a crazy time. I don't want to get too far off topic, but I know how they always say like art imitates life, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys been following this the George Floyd case. People are really considering this like the art imitating life imitating art, essentially, because this whole situation people are saying this is pretty much Training Day, like the movie, because I don't know if you heard, but like all the not all, but the majority of all the people that were the majority of those officers that were there were like they were, I think some of those guys were like, it was like their first week on the force. So like, yeah, so like there's, I think this whole year in itself, like I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. But they're pretty much it sounds like it's training day. Like even I think one guy's even coming out and saying, like the black guy, I think they said this was like his third shift. And I guess now they're going now from what I'm hearing is that they're what they're going to try to do now is say, oh well, they were trying to stop them. They were trying to stop the officer, asking the officer, like questioning if this was appropriate behavior. So I think when we look back on everything in history, like this situation in itself would be so polarizing within itself. Like George Floyd would be so polarizing within itself that whoever won anything this year, any sporting event this year, any title, it'd just kind of be looked over at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just from where everything is right now. It's just, this shit is just crazy.
Yeah, it's weird because like at the end of the day, like 2020 is going to go down for a lot, and sports won't be one of them. Like, you know, like out of all the things, I mean, if anything, probably the biggest news about sports is that the Olympics were canceled and moved to next year, you know?
Damn, you're right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, it's just really not the most important thing that's going on right now. And the sports that are going on right now are lucky because, like, it's just not viable for a lot of sports just to be running like that. I was thinking about it, and I was just like, I think I might have said it to y'all earlier, like, you know, it's great to see that you know, certain athletes are going out there protesting. And I think about it, I'm just like, how are they going to test them when it actually comes to competing? Because like if you see big names out there on the front lines, like people are breathing on each other, somebody's going to get sick. But apparently the number spiked up in Cali. It's like, you know, yeah, it's like, you know, somebody is going to get sick. More than likely there's going to be a big name that gets sick. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, but I was actually talking to someone that works in the hospitals, and they were kind of running through some of the stats. And granted, you can lie with numbers to some extent, but they were saying pretty much like if the majority of everybody is wearing a mask, the percentage of contracting is down to like 5% or some shit like that. So if everybody, but granted, everybody's not taking the appropriate precautions during everything. So you're probably right. You probably will find either a music artist or a fighter that has it. But even then, some of the fighters that's going to have it, they're probably going to just have to get frequently tested because some of them may just have it and just be a carrier. So
yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. Like I think about it, and I'm just like, it's just going to be a crazy situation when things are actually when they're trying to move, you know, forward with things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's going to be crazy moving forward, but I think you hold on. When you say moving forward, you mean the fighters, or you mean society, or what?
I mean that like things like sporting events and things like that, and you know, people in areas where they're opening things up. Apparently, they're opening up bars in Florida soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not too surprising though. Like, I think slowly but surely, everybody's, despite whatever the numbers are, I think a lot of people are just going back to like the life that they once had pre-pandemic. Like I've seen I've looked on my Insta story, and I've seen tons of people that go to the beach.
Yep.
Seeing people going to the beach, people getting married, people having parties. There's one girl I know, she told people to DM her if they wanted to come to some birthday party she was having. I'm like, fam, like every honestly, I think the movement that's going on now has completely made people forget about the virus that's going on. And
for sure.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, to some extent, I understand why, because this is, I don't really know how to put it, but I'll just say this is just a very turbulent time in America. And I think this is something that needs to be at the forefront of conversation at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
like you have people, and this is the crazy thing is that I don't know if you've been paying, if you've seen, but like you got people in all over the world protesting
I
right
love it.
now.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I think they said it's like 18 or 28 countries. It's like I know it ended with either 8 or 6. I think it was 18 or 16. It could have been 26 or 28, but I think it was 16 or 18. Countries have been protesting so far. Um, you've even seen, like, I've seen some video clips of everything that's been happening across the world, and it's like you have people, literally everybody around the world is just protesting for George Floyd.
Yeah.
No justice, no peace across the whole globe, and
Shouts out
it's
to
just
shouts out to John Boyega because he's out there, the dude from Star Wars. He's actually out there protesting like hard. You know what I mean? That's what it
really
looks like. Yeah.
He's protesting hard, and I know there's a fear for him, like him speaking for himself, saying he might not get cast in certain movies because of what he's doing. But I think it's the opposite. I think people are going to be like, we need to get this guy because he's willing to stand up. And not only that, he's not a bad actor. He's a good
No.
actor. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I think we'll see him in movies coming forward, and I think he's doing the right thing by protesting and really standing what he believes in. You know, so
exactly.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I know I've seen Twitter. They're actually saying they want him to be Static Shock. Like the internet wants him to be Static Shock if there's a movie made on the cartoon actually, which I think would be great. And I think what history has always shown us is that a lot of times in our situation, a lot of entertainers end up having to take that political stance. And a lot of times, though, it can sour things in terms of maybe it could be the contracts that they have or the negotiations or when it comes to being in the boardrooms. But in terms of the likability and actually pushing and promoting your career, I think it's even from I hate looking at it from a photo op point of view, but it helps your career at the end of the day because people stand with those who stand by them. And
yeah.
like just like I don't know if you've seen, but Ben and Jerry's, they got 10 toes down. Like they did like a whole PowerPoint on how white supremacy is horrible, how like the reason for Black Lives Matter, uh, a lot of the reasons for why like the need for the ending of white supremacy, uh, how we need to get rid of police brutality, the changing of laws, like how you had a lot of companies coming out there saying like, oh, I support it, which can be somewhat risky to their brand. Um, Someone like Ben and Jerry's, they put their nuts on the table and was
Good.
just like, yeah, exactly. Like you need to see stuff like that to know, okay, who to support. Like, and to me personally, I think some of the companies that have said they stand with the movement with BLM are just doing it because financially it makes more sense.
I said that shit last week, man. I felt like Nike and Adidas they took the lead, and now all these other fucking companies are following suit. Now some of the companies I believe is genuine, while the others is like okay, it's a PR stunt because they're not known for doing shit like that. One company I want to show some love to is PlayStation because they had a big reveal event planned for the PlayStation 5 on Thursday, but they pushed that back due to everything going on. And PlayStation, they have an international audience. So with them, even like in the gaming community and stuff like that, it's pretty good to gaming community is not absolved from racism because you still have racism within people who play games. But that when you think about racism, social injustice and stuff, you don't think of the gaming community at all, really.
Right.
So
I
for
mean, what you should, because if you play online, you know why.
Yeah. You'll hear the N word fly.
yeah,
Boy,
yeah, with certain games for sure. So, but it's not the forefront of social injustice when it comes to like entertainment.
Of
So
course not.
for when PlayStation to come out and be like, hey, we're gonna postpone the PlayStation 5 reveal till da 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 woo woo woo. I got to give respect for that because they didn't have to. You know what I mean? They didn't
Right.
have to at all, but they did it, and they said, "Hey, more important voices should be heard."
Hey, so
Exactly. That's how I see it.
one thing that comes to mind when y'all said that was I was thinking of this whole situation with the NFL and how they came out and essentially said that they were wrong for punishing Colin Kaepernick and are going to let people kneel down next year for the games. And Roger Goodell came out and made a statement, but apparently the story was that there's an insider, and I'm not sure as to how true this is, but he came up to Michael Thomas, the wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, and said, "Hey, you get together with some of the big names that are in the NFL and make a video, and it's going to force the NFL to recognize that and make a statement themselves." And essentially, what this insider was saying was like, "Look, the league is our players. We can't do anything without our players, and we need to show them some love." And
Facts.
it was great. If that's actually what happened, that guy needs to be put in a higher position.
Of course, but even then though, when people like guys like that, they actually kind of sometimes they actually get the brunt of the broom just because of what it for how sometimes forcing a hand can actually it does. I think it serves it serves the purpose of betterment when it comes to like helping the acknowledgement of BLM and just the kneeling itself and what it represents. But I think a lot of times in those situations, people like that end up getting the brunt of the broom and getting kicked out essentially,
Yeah.
just because they know, okay, you're the guy that mobilized it, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great, and it was smart to do something like that because it forced their hand, one, and then secondly, you think about it, like that was the biggest protest. I think that was one of the biggest what became one of the biggest divides. Like I know for myself, I wasn't a big football fan since I was younger, but with the whole Kaepernick thing, I just kind of knew, okay, like I have no need to watch football at all just because of that itself. So, like I think them acknowledging it, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of Kaepernick. Like I don't know if Cap is going to go back and play football. I don't think I honestly, I don't even think football is really something he should be doing anymore to some extent, just because I think he's found a new calling and purpose for himself. But I think we'll have to see what happens with that. But I think it's great that the NFL was able to actually come out and say, though it took some strategic planning in order for it to happen. I think it's great. I hope the person, like you said, I hope that person does get a promotion or move somewhere further up, whether it be in HR or PR or something to that nature. But I don't. Who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully it's someone with enough influence that can actually increase their position within the NFL.
Yeah, I hope that he does well, and I hope that if he does come in the NFL, he just doesn't beat the Steelers because, like, as long as the Steelers keep on winning, I'm happy. Shouts out to Pittsburgh, you know, and as long as we keep on winning and hopefully get another championship, everything's all right. So it's all good.
Don't listen to this man, yo. Listen.
Shouts out to McKee Sports. Shouts out to Clariton.
Hey man,
Shout outs to Virgil.
fuck,
No, not we're not doing
Not
50s over here. No, we're not doing that.
fuck,
10s, 50s. See
fuck
the
Pittsburgh Steelers. Fuck the Pittsburgh fuck
Jesus.
Pittsburgh teams. Pittsburgh Penguins could eat a dick too. I know you fuck with them too,
God.
Nigel. Fuck them. The only Pittsburgh athletic anything I fuck with is Kurt Angle. Shouts out to Kurt Angle.
Yo, you was a nut.
You don't fuck with Dan Marino?
Shouts out to the Miami Dolphins.
Jesus, man, you're killing me, cuz. Got like a whole fuck you list, man.
Yeah, I'll say it to the day I die, man. You know.
Nah, keep
Shouts
it.
to Khalifa.
Yo, just keep it 2 Virgils with me. That's all I ask. Anything that you do in life, keep it 2 Virgils. Probably for those that don't know, that Virgil called himself donating $50 to the BLM and got crucified. I think Nordstrom put all his clothing on all the off-white clothing for like 50% off after that.
That's funny.
Let
Yeah.
me see if it's still 50% off now.
Say it again.
I said, let me see if it's still 50% off right now.
Oh, you about to get the off-white?
No, I'm not buying. I'll never buy no $300 T-shirt, bro. That shit's
But
stupid.
it's 150 now. It's in your price point.
Even I mean, it's still stupid.
I mean, listen, bro. I just know you want to get fly. You're a Virgil type of nigga. You're a two Virgil type of nigga. You know what I mean, I'm just saying. But
I am. El Chapo Don Pablo is a fly guy, but I'm not like Virgil.
Y'all ready to end it?
yeah, yeah. Before we get up out of here, I just want to leave y'all with some closing words. Stay safe. Those on the front line, just know we got your support. We're supporting you or whatever. We got your back. You know what I mean? I don't know how you guys been doing your thing, but anybody listening, if you agree with the movement or you want to help that movement further on and increase itself, just make sure you look at different sites to donate to. Go on to the Highly Advised podcast page, where you'll go to the tab that's the all black picture. If you swipe, you'll see different places where you can donate. So, and also if you get a chance, but not if you get a chance, because you're probably listening, listen and subscribe and tell us what you think. But on that note, I'm gonna just tell y'all be safe and don't stay too dangerous.
All right, La.
Yeah, everybody, make sure everybody stay safe as usual. Everybody out there in the front lines protesting. I'm gonna continue to show support and show love because you're definitely doing a great thing. Always stand for what you believe in, and always stand for to combat racism because racism is for fucking losers. And
Facts.
definitely
Small dick energy.
yeah. But
Yeah, I died when I saw that. So someone have that as a sign.
That shit's funny.
But pause though, right? So
Oh yeah, pause.
yeah.
I see my mind didn't even go there.
Yeah. But anyway, make sure everybody do what you can to support. And I want to say this right now. If you're not out on the front lines protesting and doing your part out there, does not mean that you're a bad person. It means that, maybe you're a donator, or maybe you sign petitions, or maybe you spread awareness. So as long as you're doing something, that's good. You don't have to do everything. But if you do at least one thing, you're good. And like Spence said, if you go on the Highly Advised podcast page, we definitely have a post where there's links where you could donate, you could sign petitions, you could call your local governors or mayors or city officials, town officials, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody stay safe. Fuck racism. I want to pull up on racism and unload this whole 30 that I got on me.
Whoa,
And,
edit that out, yo.
Wow, you want me to keep that, or you want me to edit it up?
Yeah, man, fuck that. I'm gonna shoot racism the fuck up. I'm gonna unload this whole racism.
All right, I'm out.
All right, real quick. That I don't think any of it caught that. Real quick. What I'll say is that everybody should be towards this cause. We all know that racism is bad. If you don't think racism is bad, fuck you. It doesn't take some, for real. It doesn't take somebody. It doesn't take somebody who's a genius or even with a little bit of sense to know that hate is wrong. We should all be standing up and putting up a fight. Donate. Just make a statement to a friend. Just check in with a friend. Anybody saying that you shouldn't ask your friends about racism is fucking stupid. If you don't know shit, ask your friend, get some information, and figure that shit the fuck out. Because if I hear that shit one more time, that you shouldn't be educated or try to get educated from somebody who knows some shit, then they're dumb as hell. Do not listen to that shit. Ask me. Shit. I'll try and tell you about my experiences. Fuck that. Yeah. And figure it out.
In the words of Soldier Boy, you could die over this shit, nigga.
Yeah, just make sure you go vote also, man, because that's
go
where
fucking vote.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Vote.
Clearly, you see why I'm the saint. Go vote. Yeah, make sure y'all go vote. Everything that my co-host said, and if y'all fellas ain't got nothing else left to say, I mean, I feel you got the energy to keep going for another 5-10 minutes.
Yo, he they call him the saint. The nigga is, kind of like Picasso, right? The nigga is not a real life saint, motherfucker. just like the rest of us, motherfucker.
We had another name for him back in the day, y'all. Just think about that. Bro,
Cap,
that'll be
cap masters. That's what they are, man.
That'll be for another day. You've been highly advised. We'll see y'all next week.
Highly advised podcast.